please state your full name
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted?
Soliciting prostitution and procuring a for prostitution.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
We all know Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire predator, the man at the center of one of the most disturbing scandals in modern history. We've heard stories of abuse, trafficking, power, and of privilege shielding him from justice. But what if I told you there was more? What if I told you that Epstein's true mission wasn't just to exploit young women, but to lure some of the most powerful men on the face of the earth into a trap? A trap designed not for his own greed, but to serve a much darker purpose. Something that would continue to haunt the world even after his death. Celebrities, politicians, and world leaders drawn into situations so compromising that they could be controlled for life. Controlled by an entity that operates in the shadows, using sex, blackmail, and influence to shape world events. Today we'll follow the clues, the testimonies, and the hidden connections to uncover a side of the Epstein story that they're trying to keep hidden in the shadows. But before we get started, I want to let you guys know I've been using this app called AlKhaleel to learn Arabic. If you guys want to learn Arabic, I highly suggest downloading this app, as it will greatly improve your Arabic speaking ability. They give you exercises and tests to make sure that you remember everything that you've learned, so I would suggest downloading it using the link below. For decades, Epstein moved effortlessly between two completely different worlds. On one side, the glittering parties, the yachts, and the private jets, all filled with celebrities and royalty. And on the other side, a network of shadowy figures, a secret island, hidden cameras, and surveillance of celebrities and world leaders. In this world, power came from what you knew and the secrets that you kept. Jeffrey Epstein's closest confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, was more than just a socialite. She was the daughter of one of the biggest media moguls, Robert Maxwell, who had strong and deep ties to Israel and Zionism, and this was something that he was very proud about. He was even accused by multiple former intelligence officials of working for the Israeli Mossad right before he mysteriously died on his yacht. One of the accusers is a former Israeli intelligence officer named Ari Ben Menashe.
Former Israeli spy Ari Ben Menashe, who worked for Robert Maxwell. You maintain that it was Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent. His daughter Ghislaine also worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Correct.
Now, Israel denies that Ari Ben Menashe actually worked for them as an agent, but he's adamant that he did, appearing on multiple interviews, all claiming the same thing. That it was Ghislaine Maxwell who brought Jeffrey Epstein into a bigger operation. A game where influence is not earned, it's stolen, by using one of the oldest tricks in the espionage playbook, the honey trap. And when you take a look at Jeffrey Epstein's world, it becomes very clear exactly where such an operation could have played out. At the center of it all is Little St. James, Epstein's private island in the US Virgin Islands. On record, it was a tropical getaway where friends and business associates would come and just take a vacation. In reality, according to court statements, victim testimony, and the US Virgin Islands Attorney General, it was a place where women were trafficked and some of the most powerful people would party behind closed doors.
Received substantial evidence that he was involved in trafficking young women and children to the Virgin Islands, and that these young girls and women were subject to assault, exploitation.
The island was heavily guarded with tight control on who came and went. Guests arrived by helicopter or by yacht, and some of their names now appear in infamous flight logs, in what is now being referred to as the Epstein files. The same files that the current US government refuses to release.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Just to put this into context for everyone, former US President Bill Clinton was found in some court documents revealed just a portion of Epstein's files, proving that he had been to Epstein's island more than once. And many claim that politicians, billionaires, royalties, celebrities have also visited the island. Not all of them have been accused. Some even outright reject them ever stepping foot on the island. But for those who did, the question becomes, what really happened there? The Attorney General described Epstein's island as completely isolated. Once you got there was no escape. And the employees that worked there were bound by very strict non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs. And these were enforced even after Epstein's death, meaning that none of them can speak about it. This means that if the allegations of Epstein's honey traps are true, then Epstein's island wasn't just a playground. It wasn't just a tropical vacation spot. It was a stage, a perfectly controlled environment where compromising situations could be engineered, filmed, and stored for leverage. But this leverage was not meant for Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell or even her father, Robert Maxwell. According to Ari Ben-Menashe, who again is a self-acclaimed former Israeli intelligence officer, Jeffrey Epstein was also working for the Israeli Mossad alongside Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell, who, might I remind you, died mysteriously on his yacht soon after allegations of him being a Mossad agent came to light. This is very similar to how Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously just unalived himself in jail while all of the security cameras that had direct line of sight to his cell malfunctioned and stopped recording. Did they really off themselves? Were they offed by someone else? Or did they fake their own death to be able to flee to another country? We don't know. What we do know is that Ari Ben-Menashe is not the only person claiming that Jeffrey Epstein worked as an intelligence agent. In 2017, as Alexander Acosta was being vetted for a cabinet position, he reportedly asked about a plea deal that allowed Jeffrey Epstein to walk away from all federal prosecution for his crime. According to multiple accounts, Acosta told the Trump transition team that he was told to leave it alone and that Jeffrey Epstein belonged to intelligence. Now, Acosta never clarified which intelligence service he was speaking about. But in the world of espionage, that phrase, belongs to intelligence, doesn't just mean a passing connection. It means you're an asset, protected, untouchable. But now that Jeffrey Epstein has died, everything should be over, right? Wrong. Even though Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of procuring a for prostitution and trafficking and now is dead, it's too late. The Epstein files exist and the world knows about it. And there's a threat of them being released at any time. Obviously not a threat to the world. The world wants to know, the world should know, but a threat to the people allegedly in the Epstein files. For years, the Epstein list was seen as this holy grail. The names in the flight logs, the guest books, the contact sheets, and the Trump administration at one point in time seemed set on releasing all the files, and they framed it as a move for transparency.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Recently, Elon Musk suggested that the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, is in the Epstein files. Almost overnight, everything changed. And now the Trump administration seems very reluctant to want to release any data on Jeffrey Epstein or the files. And this is a reminder of how dangerous the Epstein list really is, and still is to this day, if the wrong or the right names are on it. And the aftermath, the fallout of it all could be catastrophic. If Epstein's operation was indeed a run for Israeli intelligence, then this is not just history, it's a weapon still at play. But even though the Epstein files are currently hidden, we did get a glimpse of the inside from a woman named Virginia Giuffre. Virginia was one of Jeffrey Epstein's most well-known accusers, claiming that she was trafficked to some of the most powerful men, including Prince Andrew when she was just a teenager. But what many didn't know until very recently is that Virginia actually kept a diary, a personal record of her experiences inside of Jeffrey Epstein's world. In those pages, Virginia described being watched by cameras, by men, and filmed for the purpose of blackmail. She wrote that the FBI has the footage that could prove everything, even though officials have on record said that there is no credible evidence that this blackmail exists. Surprise, surprise. Virginia's words were not vague, painting a picture of an operation that didn't just exploit people, but documented that exploitation. And in a shocking turn of events, just a few months ago in April 2025, Virginia died, reportedly by offing herself, similar to how Jeffrey Epstein reportedly offed himself while he was in jail. It seems like every time the truth is close to coming to light, the person who serves as the liability mysteriously winds up dead. From honey traps to hacking to media control, Israel really made sure to cover every single base. Through potential assets like Robert Maxwell, AIPAC lobbying and paying politicians to push bills and propaganda that serves Israel. And as a final precaution, a set of honey traps and a trail of blackmail used against the world's most powerful and influential people. And for probably obvious reasons, I'm wearing my Israeli occupied territory sweater, and you could see that this is clearly the White House. Now, I don't think I need to explain the messaging of this sweater, as it is very self-explanatory. And I would say that for those of you who would like to also wear such a lovely sweater, you could find it using the second link in the description below. It's a public acknowledgement of Israel's wrongdoing and a call to remove whatever power they may have over the world. So you could see everything that we discussed is a brief glimpse into Israel's methods and their goals. We're talking about a country with an ethnic supremacist government using spies and agents in America and other countries to serve their own interests and gather intelligence. Israel even has something called the Samson option, which is a plan to nuke all other countries, including enemies and allies, if their existence is ever threatened. They're currently committing a genocide on the Palestinian people in Gaza, and you have to ask yourself, if they're willing to commit such grand and atrocious crimes on a mass scale, why wouldn't they do things like blackmail people? Zionists will always claim that Muslims are this villain, that they're coming for the West, they're coming for your way of life, but that's all just smoke in the air to mask the true villain, the genocider, the manipulator, the liar, the blackmailer, and the real villain, the illegal state of Israel.